Oh, welcome to the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. You figured that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Hello, greetings, happy, marvelous Monday. I don't know if you guys slept last night. I didn't sleep that much because I was up watching a hell of a Sunday night football game between the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. And I saw a lot of people today putting up their 11-leg parlays that they were waiting for the Bills money line and they'd pretty much given up on. I loved the game last night. It made me so happy last night to watch two teams that are going to bludgeon each other throughout the season, maybe run into each other in the playoffs, get everybody's hopes and dreams up, and then ultimately lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. That's something I can certainly look forward to. Wild stuff. Wild stuff. Josh Allen. Did he have it? Where's the MVP performance? You get Lamar Jackson. He's looking great. Zay Flowers looking strong. Mark Andrews looking bad. Derrick Henry, absolute stud. Massive mountain of a man. Running north to south, just trucking dudes. And you feel pretty good about it. And then it happens. And the it is the fumble. Derrick Henry fumble was catastrophically bad, obviously, for the Baltimore Ravens. And ultimately, what was a 15-point game, late, there's 4 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game, a 15-point lead for the Ravens goes away, and you get a 41-40 win for the Buffalo Bills in what felt like something that was written out of a script. I know that people like to joke about how the NFL is rigged.
Is the NFL like professional wrestling?
This is a guy wearing a professional wrestling shirt.
Is the NFL rigged?
No, but it does speak to the fact that you cannot let your foot off the gas. Sunday Night Football is incredible. Whoever you like to cheer on in the MVP race between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, you had reasons to love both of their performances. There is a guy that happens to be somebody a lot of people kind of think of as a top 3, maybe a top 5 quarterback in this league. We're going to talk about him in a little bit and about how he looked and how his team barely beat the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk about him and how he did, especially relative to Jalen Hurts, who, the Hurts haters were out last week. And we're going to do a little heads-up comparison between Mr. Joe Burrow and, of course, Jalen Hurts. Now, I'm going to pop the comments up here on the screen, bottom right. The comment section is already lively. I'll go out to some people out there real quick. And we have so much stuff to get into. I'm going to give you a real quick rundown in case you don't pay attention to the description of the episode, which you should, and you could. You don't have to, but maybe you should. We got bad news in regards to the Phillies, an injury that could fundamentally change everything for them. We had an insider weigh in on the possibility of a prospect who just got called up to AAA, maybe even seeing some time at the big league level if the news on that aforementioned player is bad. We had some lady down in Miami causing absolute mayhem, Phillies Karen. I don't know how much we'll talk about Phillies Karen, but yes, she will get at least a tiny bit of engagement on this show. Harrison Bader doing a really cool thing for the kid after the fact. We'll get to that as well. We talked about Hurts and Burrow. We're going to have a little comp there. Adam Schefter waved it in this afternoon on McAfee's show about Jalen Carter and about what he expects to see happen. Dave Portnoy went after Ryan Clark, at least for a real short bit of time, over on the Wake Up Barstool show. I want to get to that because it speaks to something that I've been saying for a while about the Challenger brand, so we'll get there as well. I do have some thoughts that I'll say for the very end of the show about the Dexter Resurrection finale, which I did watch last Friday at 1 in the morning, and I could have talked about on Friday's show, but I decided, we're going to at least let the Showtime people who watch on Sundays get their fill as well. We'll get there at the very end of the show. I won't go into spoiler zone. I'll just give you some high-level thoughts on the Dexter Resurrection finale, but one of the craziest stories to come out, and something that I feel like almost in a really screwed up way should lead the show, is a potential return to Philadelphia. And not to the Phillies, not to the Eagles, not to the Flyers, not to the Union. And it's not the return of the Philadelphia Kicks or the Philadelphia Soul. No. There is a rumor circulating right now that Ben Simmons could be coming back to the Philadelphia 76ers. I know that no one had this on their bingo card. I know that most people probably would not want to even contemplate, mull over the idea, but I'm going to throw this out there because Legion Hoops has 900,000 followers over on the good old Twitter machine. They put out this thing from Jake Fisher, who works for Mark Stein, the Stein line. And it just says 76ers reportedly showed interest in Ben Simmons after he was bought out by the Nets, according to Jake Fisher. Now, I want everybody to think for a second. How the hell would you feel about Ben Simmons being back as a Philadelphia 76er? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, Russ, this is a terrible idea. There's no reason on earth that you could possibly advocate for it, but yes, there is. Do you guys remember how like a week or two I cracked out a sign that's not hanging behind me and I was like, oh, there was a time in Philadelphia sports history where we would have felt really good about the three guys on this poster. You of course had Joel Embiid, you had Markelle Fultz, and you had Ben Simmons. And this was supposed to be the core that was going to lead this team to greatness. Now, would I be thrilled to have back Ben Simmons? I don't even know. I think the absurdity of it is something that I'm 100% here for. Do I think that Ben Simmons could be any worse than half of the way past their prime players that are going to be on the Sixers bench this season? Not necessarily. Do I think Ben Simmons is a game changer for the Sixers? Certainly not. Am I intrigued? You're damn right I'm intrigued. Will I like to watch Rome burn? Maybe. Maybe I do. Some people just like to watch the world burn, right? That was the Michael Caine line as Alfred in The Dark Knight. Some people just like to watch the world burn. Yes, that's right, Michael Caine. Some people do. I happen to be one of those some people because Daryl Morey's still running this team into the ground. So what the hell worse could it get if you brought in Ben Simmons? Oh no, what about the chemistry? I give a shit about your chemistry. What about Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain? They seem positive. That's a good point. Maybe it's not a good idea to bring in Ben Simmons. But if you somehow brought in a guy who could still be something of a playmaker for like your backups, a guy who could still rebound, a guy who still has very good vision, would I be diametrically opposed to bringing Ben Simmons back? No, I wouldn't. I don't think it should happen. I don't think Daryl Morey will make it happen. I'm not even sure that Ben Simmons wants to play basketball anymore. But I could certainly get behind the idea of Ben Simmons returning to the Sixers. And I know that people are going to lose their minds. I could see in the comments down in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm sure that people might not be thrilled about the idea of Ben Simmons back to the 76ers. Now, there is another interesting note in all this. And this is really quick. So Ben Simmons, over the weekend, it was announced that apparently his agent decided to be done with him. So his agent was like, no, Holmes, I'm out. I'm not representing you anymore, which I don't know the last time an agent went out of their way to say I don't want to manage you, but this agent did. Anyway, there was some reporting done by Mark Stein, and we'll get to it over here. And in this reporting, it was apparently noted that the New York Knicks of all teams reached out to Ben Simmons about a one-year contract that he passed on. And New York is limited to only being able to offer minimum contracts. Mark Stein also said that Boston and New York were the teams that had the most serious interest, which is interesting. Now, again, I don't know if it matters. Stephen Bondi, it says, on the bottom of this screenshot, that Simmons has been questioning whether he even wants to continue playing in the NBA next season. I don't know, guys. I just saw it and I went, man, it can't get worse. It can't possibly get worse, can it? I mean, if you're going into the Sixers season with all the hope and optimism in your heart, they still have about a month or so to indoctrinate me and get me back on board. But it's still a Daryl Morey-led team. It's still built on the knees of Joel Embiid and Paul George. I'm not feeling too great about the Sixers, so I'll take the chaos. I'll take the chaos agent. I will. Andrew Fawcett asks, does he still have the shooting yips? I don't think he ever had the yips. I think he was just flat out afraid to shoot, period. The yips was more of a Markelle Fultz thing. Our first case of thoracic outlet syndrome in this city. Not the most impactful one, given everything that's going on with Zach Wheeler, but it's not great. Let's see. Peter Tom Willis hits us with it. He doesn't shoot. That is correct. Chris Freed asks, would you rather have Ben Simmons on the Sixers instead of Carter Hart on the Flyers? Gone all carnival Barker mode here, Russ. All right, hold on, let me think. Would I rather have Ben Simmons? Hold on, I'm gonna make this a poll. Oh, no. We are not going to let a good moment of audience engagement on YouTube go to waste. We got to think this one through. If you had your druthers, would you rather have Ben Simmons back on the Sixers or Carter Hart back on the Flyers? I think we're going to mess around with this a little bit. Let's present all of the potential ideas, okay? Let's present all of the outcomes. I'm going to throw this on the poll really quick. Would you rather have Ben Simmons on the Sixers or Carter Hart on the Flyers? Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. If you're a Ben Simmons, if you're considering Ben Simmons, you have to consider the fact that the man hasn't played good basketball in years. The last time that Ben Simmons was an actual impact player for the Sixers, it was the series where he passed the ball with an open layup against the Atlanta Hawks. So it's been many years. His go-arounds in Brooklyn didn't work out. He was picked up by the Clippers. That didn't work out. Can't stay healthy. There are back issues. Just seems like there are physical issues. There might be mental. Not that he's insane. Not that he's medically been diagnosed with a mental illness. Perhaps he's just gotten in his own head about his playing career and what he can and can't do. But there is still some semblance of a player in there. There are still the physical tools there. Can he be a top 30 player in the league? No. Can he be an adequate backup for a team that already has the guard position locked down between some combination of Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and VJ Edgecombe? Maybe. Would he be better served as a forward on this team? Maybe. I don't know. Carter Hart. If you bring Carter Hart, last thing, Ben Simmons didn't leave Philadelphia with like the worst feeling in the world. I mean, remember, the Sixers chose to trade Ben Simmons. The Sixers opted to move Ben Simmons. Now, he might not have been happy here at the end, but he didn't exactly go public and say he hates this place. So he didn't leave with a ton of vitriol. He also didn't go public like James Harden and say, Daryl Morey is a liar and I'll never play for a team that he's associated with again. Now, Carter Hart. Would Carter Hart be an upgrade over Dan Vladar and Ivan Fedotov and Alexei Kolosov? He would. Would a Carter Hart 18 to 24 months removed from playing competitive hockey in the NHL be a significant upgrade right away over Sam Ersson? I am not so sold. Would he, over the course of a season, get back to playing form where he might be better than Ersson? It's possible. There is baggage, though. See, Ben Simmons' baggage is just, does he want to play? Was he shooting with his wrong hand the whole time? The Carter Hart baggage is the Hockey Canada stuff. Is it a PR nightmare if you bring back Ben Simmons? No. People probably be like, what the hell are we doing? But in fairness, they've kind of been doing that the entirety of Daryl Morey's tenure as GM and president of basketball ops. If you bring in Carter Hart, yeah, there's going to be some vitriol, at least from part of the fan base. Is it fair? Is it not? You decide. Who would I rather have? Ben Simmons on the Sixers or Carter Hart on the Flyers? I'd rather see Ben Simmons on the Sixers. I would. I'd rather see Ben Simmons on the Sixers. And I mean, if we're being real, though, Ben Simmons playing for the Sixers, he might play 18 games in a season. He can't stay healthy. I do like a reclamation project, though. I do like a comeback story. That would be okay. Carter Hart would make the Flyers a better team. Would he make them like a playoff contender? No. Would he be better than the backup they brought in from Calgary, Dan Vladar? Yeah. I'm just not sure that he's the impact guy that you want him to be. I'll take the guy with less baggage and harken back to a time when the Sixers actually felt relevant, when they had Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid playing together. I'll actually go out to the comments, though, because we have that sitting on the poll over on the Russ Joy Show YouTube channel. Right now, we're at 75% of voters saying Simmons on the Sixers. 25% say Hart on the Flyers. All right, let's go out to the comments. I want to see what people say. Because it was a pretty interesting question. I'm down with it. All right, let's go over real quick. Fawcett had said, worst idea, Ben Simmons or Carter Hart. Different scenarios, but similar concept. King Alfred's U.S. descendant says Simmons would only return here for a paycheck. Greg Bondarenko throws out this idea. I think Simmons would be hated more than Hart. Now, if Simmons came back, he would not be, because here's the thing about the Ben Simmons situation. He hasn't found success anywhere since he's left. If Ben Simmons comes back here, people are going to be like, all right, that's weird. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of nostalgia of like a time when the Sixers were relevant where you go, all right, we'll give the guy a shot. Oh, he chose to come back here after all the shit we said about him? After he chose to come back? I think Sixers fans would buy into it. Now, if he misses half the season or more, and you add him to the injured pile with Paul George and Joel Embiid, well, okay, then sure, he'll be hated. If he collects a paycheck again and does nothing, oh, here you go. Peter Tom Willis says Simmons should be in jail for all the money he's stolen. I mean, if you go with that thought process, then yeah, he would be more hated, I guess. Jim Cochran says, sure, let's bring Ben back. We need some more players on the injured list. Correct. Jamie Rollo says Simmons would be an even worse idea than Carter Hart, which is saying something. Connor Buss changed his mind. Simmons back wouldn't be ridiculous. This team, I don't believe, can get worse. See, Daryl Morey, we are setting such a low bar for you right now. Daryl Morey, the bar has been set so low that people are going, even if you bring back Ben Simmons, who might only play 8 games the entire season, it can't be any worse than the dumb shit choices you've made to build this Sixers roster. All right, we'll continue. Wonder what Daryl's up to anyway. I almost pulled a Fawcett comment that I didn't read the whole way through. This is why I got to pre-read Fawcett. Let's see. Andrew Fawcett says he'd rather have an asteroid than both. So, okay. Ford is here. Says the overall impression I get from the Simmons story is that the Sixers just continue to reach for anything, something to get any sort of chance to win while Embiid is still able to move. I think that's true. You're going to get a bunch of bargain barrel hunting from now until the end of the season. They're just going to try to put some amalgamation of players together in the hopes that it's going to pay some kind of dividends. I don't know what those dividends are. Jamie Rollo says, at least Carter Hart can play. He'd immediately be our best goaltender. I think eventually. Let's see. Amadeo says, Carter Hart not playing in over a year and a half would be just as bad, if not worse than Anderson. I tend to think he's right. Now, over the course of a full season, maybe it's a little bit different. Also, Amadeo threw out an idea to me that would be fantastic, but he didn't Photoshop it yet. And when he does, I'll pull it up on the screen, but I can't Photoshop it and do the show at the same time. That is absurd. I can't do that. Ford voted for Simmons. Let's see. JH says he hasn't played for nearly 2 years, and he was a league average goalie at best. There's no way he outplays anyone on the roster. Hell, even Cal Peterson might play better. Good God. Okay, JH, let's not get too crazy. There you go. Tyler DeMuro. This is perfect. Simmons videos with, I'm coming home, playing will hit like crack. Can you imagine? Oh, my heart and soul, I'd probably be really happy. Get Ben Simmons back here. I feel bad for the guy. I want him to find a little bit of success before he retires. I know.
Russ, he's a multimillionaire. Why do you feel bad for the guy?
I don't know. On a human level, I feel bad for him. I'm going to close the poll. As of the end of the poll, 78% of respondents say they'd rather have Ben Simmons back on the Sixers than Carter Hart back on the Flyers. Let me know what you think. By the way, if you're watching over on X and you want to comment and have your comments up on the screen and all that, you have to click the video first. You go into the old Periscope mode. You can type out your comment. You can send it in. If you're watching on the Joy Media YouTube channel, thank you for being there. You can subscribe there, or you can go over to the Russ Joy Show YouTube channel. You can like, subscribe, ring the bell, get notified when the show goes live. And if you're watching on Facebook, I don't know why, but if you are, hello, thank you. Hit the like and you can follow the page, I guess. By the way, our TikTok's not back yet. It has now been 5 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days since TikTok decided to unlawfully ban the Russ Joy Show TikTok account. Now, I know a lot of people don't care. I know that it's me. It's Video Guy Amadeo. It's probably my wife. And there were like 1,600 people who were following the account on TikTok. I'm not saying that's a big number. I know that like you can like take a picture of your poop in the middle of a field and probably get 30,000 followers on TikTok. I get it. But there were like 1,600 people who, for whatever reason, decided to click through and they would like the videos and they'd say nice things. And there was like a good little bit of dialogue going back and forth. They have been robbed of that channel of that account on TikTok unlawfully. No real good explanation from TikTok of what was done that led to a ban. I have filed an appeal. Have I heard back? I have not. Does that mean I back the idea of selling TikTok? If the person who buys it will unsuspend the account, yes, absolutely. Let's do it. Okay. Now, I do want to get to some other things that actually do have to do with Philadelphia sports. Let's start with the worst news, okay? In a season that has had some bad news and some bad injuries, including thoracic outlet syndrome, part 2, the electric boogaloo, Zach Wheeler with the blood clot in his shoulder, out for the rest of the season, hopefully back at some point in the 2026 season. You thought that was going to be the karmic kick to the gonads, and that was going to be it. You thought that was it. You thought it can't get any worse, and it did. And that, of course, is because Trea Turner is now hurt. And it's not just like a moderate out. It's not a small, Trea Turner sprained his pinky and he's day-to-day. No, Trea Turner hurt his hamstring, strained his hamstring, was pulled early from the game on Sunday. He goes in awkwardly trying to beat out an infield or an error at first base. He goes in, he comes up clutching the hamstring, he gets pulled from the game immediately, and he talked to some people, aka the media, after the game and had some thoughts that he wanted to share. And again, I think it's a case of there just never seeming to be a glimmer of hope, a little light beam, a little ray of sunshine to come down and touch the Philadelphia Phillies on the cheek. Now Trea Turner's out. Trea Turner's been having a fantastic season, especially the second half. He's been dynamite for them. He's critical to their efforts if they're going to actually try to compete for a World Series. Let's go listen to Trea Turner post-game as he kind of gives some insight into how that hamstring is feeling, what he ultimately thinks is going to come of it. Let's go out to Trea Turner.
On that play run down the first base.
Yeah, just kind of grabbing on me. Didn't feel good. Just felt like if I could have kept going, I would have not, get out of there and try to limit the damage.
So let's start there. I don't actually know how bad his hamstring feels. He obviously is the only one who knows how bad it really does feel. This idea of like, if he could have kept playing, he would have, all that. It's smart that he took himself out. Now, hopefully it's not because it feels like he tore the hamstring off the bone, right? And it doesn't sound like that's what's happened. But if this is just a case of a player going, yo, I tweaked this, I've had this issue before, I don't want to miss all this time, better to come out of this one game, wave the white flag on the game, get checked out, make sure I don't make it worse, cool. You don't usually see an athlete do that, right? Now, if this were a postseason game, if this were a World Series game, if this were an NLCS game, would he have pulled himself out of the lineup? I don't know. We don't know how bad the hamstring feels, but I do have to give the guy a little bit, right? A little bit of a check mark, a little pat on the back for at least saying, I'm not going to try to make it worse. I'm going to actively try to make sure I don't hurt myself further. All right, let's keep going.
You had a hamstring strain last year. Can you tell yet?
To be honest with you, I know I got it.
I know that you couldn't hear that whole question, and I couldn't either. Whoever was holding the camera or the microphone on NBC Sports Philadelphia, I don't know what we're doing here. All right, when there's a question and an answer, right, get in position. It was like the person just took the microphone. Like, what were we trying to say? Today's Powerball numbers. What are we doing? Okay. Back to Trea Turner.
An MRI tomorrow, try to figure it out, and hopefully better, hopefully not as bad as that, but a little sore now, and try to get back as fast as you can, and get ready for that last little stretch, and then hopefully a good postseason push.
The last time he significantly hurt his hamstring, it took 6 weeks, which obviously, if you do some basic mental math here, would be very bad for the Phillies as they try to wrap up the regular season, get into the playoffs. You're looking at the need for a very, very long, deep playoff run for him to have any chance of playing at all in the postseason. The likelihood of this Phillies team, as currently constructed, making it to a World Series without Trea Turner after having lost Zach Wheeler, I don't love those chances right now. All right, keep going.
How kind of disappointing, I guess, is the timing of something like this popping up with less than a month left in the season?
Yeah.
I hate that question, by the way. How disappointing is it? It's fucking disappointing. What kind of question is that? How disappointing is it for you? How disappointing is it for you to be hurt and to be out of the lineup as you guys are trying to lock down a spot in the playoffs and hold off the Dodgers and maybe catch the Brewers? How disappointing? It's fucking disappointing. What do you mean? How disappointing is it? What do you want me to say? Oh, it's like as disappointing as if I found out somebody, like hit my dog with their car and then fed it to me and said it was brisket. Like, oh, that's pretty bad. That's pretty dark. How disappointing is it? Oh, it's almost as disappointing as when I was a wee little lad and I scored the game-winning goal and I went to the sideline to run to give a hug to my father, but he was at the bar again having pizza, not alcohol, because it was the middle of the day. What the hell is wrong with you thinking my father was an alcoholic? All right, so that would be disappointing as well. Wasn't that? How disappointing is it? I don't know. Oh, is this disappointing as finding out I got an A- instead of an A on that AP US history exam? Okay, fine, cool. I hate that question. All right, let's keep going.
It's never a good time, really, but yeah, like you said, having stuff like something like this late is not fun, and when these games obviously really matter, and you need to be out there, and just kind of more so frustrated probably with that than anything is come down the stretch and playing in big games and not being able to be out there. So hopefully,
and that's clearly the biggest part of it. It's the timing of it. If this were June, it would suck, but you get over it. If it's May, it sucks, you get over it. If it's July, it still sucks, but you get over it. August, you're starting to feel a little bit worried. It's September. Now, granted, it's early September and not late September, but it still sucks. And he's had a hamstring injury before that's cost him 6 weeks. So, yeah, he's disappointed. He's human. They're trying to lock down a spot. They're trying to lock down their spot in the playoffs. They'd like to be a top 2 seed. It kind of matters. Okay, continue.
it's not too many, and we'll see.
What is the level of concern? Just that it's one of these injuries, right? If you try to come back too fast, it gets worse. Just that you'll be able to manage it.
Yeah, that's where you trust.
And that's a very fair question. I'm actually going to end it there. That is a fair question, right? If you're Trea Turner, is it worth it for you as a player, as a competitor, to maybe force that timeline? Like, let's say he gets okay news and they say, listen, this should be a 4-week recovery time. But if you play it safe, it's 5. Well, that's bad for the Phillies. There's no getting around it. It would then require the Phillies to actually be able to figure some shit out with their lineup and actually have, the Kyle Schwarbers of the world start producing again and make sure that Bryce Harper's playing at an MVP level and that Alec Boehm isn't an absolute waste of space and that Nick Castellanos, whenever he gets in the lineup, isn't a total waste of space. If they could do all of that, then they could probably tread water long enough to get into the playoffs, hopefully get through a first-round series without Trea Turner, and then you're looking at the NLCS and Turner comes back and you're feeling great. Maybe. But the question is, if you're Trea Turner, if you don't believe in your team, and in fairness, he doesn't have much of a reason to believe in his team's ability to get to the NLCS without him. If you get to the 3-week mark and they say, listen, 4 weeks is the minimum, 5 is if you're playing it conservatively to try not to tweak this again. Are you then saying, no, I'm going to come back in 2.5, 3 weeks, come back sooner than the doctors say I should because my team needs me that much? It could work, maybe. Let's say he pushes it 2.5, 3 weeks. He's back for the final few regular season games or maybe for the start of the NLDS. And then he goes out in game 1 and he tweaks the hamstring and he's out for the playoffs. Well, that's certainly worse than if they had just not had him for the DS, known they wouldn't have him for the DS, and then have him back for the NLCS. I think it's really important that somebody is in Trea Turner's ear once they figure out the severity of the injury. They need to have somebody who's going to be the good angel on his shoulder, somebody who's going to be a guiding light. He needs Jiminy Cricket. He needs Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder, reminding him that it's better for the Phillies to be without him for longer if it means he comes back healthy and can help them get to and maybe even win a World Series, than for him to rush back, tweak it again, and be out. Okay. Oh, we got big news. We got big news. Hold on a second. Uh-oh. Video guy Amadeo. Well, this is actually not bad news. Well, the Turner thing we knew. Turner's going on the injured list. I just took a parting shot at Alec Boehm. And you might think to yourself, Russ, you should feel bad. Because look at what just happened with Alec Boehm. I don't feel bad. Alec Boehm stinks. I don't want the guy to be hurt. Alec Boehm stinks. Alec Boehm is going on the IL. So now you've got two guys in this lineup, two guys in this infield going out. And it does now lead to a potential situation. We got to say, like, all right, what's the plan now? Who's coming up? You don't have great infield depth right now. You thought Edmundo Sosa probably going to replace Trea Turner. Well, who's playing third now? Or is Sosa going to play third? What are you going to do now? Things have just gotten very weird, very uncomfortable. Now, can I tell you that with pretty solid certainty, I think the Phillies are a better team without Alec Bohm in the lineup? Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with that. I'm not a big Bohm guy. But who do they bring up? What do we do? What do the Phillies do? Well, apparently they're going to have Bryce Harper lead off today. According to Destiny Legardo. We'll bring her tweet up here. Because this shit's getting weird. You want to talk about a weird end of the Phillies season? This shit's about to get real weird, real quick. Here we go. Here's Destiny Legardo. Here is her tweet. She says, Bryce Harper is leading off today. Max Kepler is batting fourth. Let's get weird. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. Or to talk with you again. Doesn't matter. My head's spinning. I feel silly. Having to watch injured Phillies. All I feel is pain. And it's coursing through my heart and my brain. Will we see Red October? I know I got pitchy there. Just follow me. This is bad. This is really bad. Kepler batting fourth. Bryce Harper leading off. Rob Thompson. I don't even know what to say to you. I don't think he has a choice. Look at this. Spencer Turnbull's here. Damn it, Spencer Turnbull. Says this is what you get for not re-signing me. Spencer, I'm sorry. I was a big Spencer Turnbull guy. Come on now. Yeah, not good, guys. Not good at all. All right, so Max Kepler, who's actually had some success at the plate, he's batting fourth. Bryce Harper's leading off. Jeez. You know why this is happening? Video guy Amadeo, if you have the video available, send it to me in a DM or something. Anthony Sanfilippo screwed the Phillies today. If you guys watched or listened to Phightin Words today, Sanfilippo opened his big dumb yapper and said the Phillies aren't going to blow this lead, that the Phillies aren't going to go into a tailspin. And Bob Wankel said in the moment, oh boy, there it is. There's your freezing cold take. And Sanfilippo, if things go sideways, you go after Sanfilippo. Because he's the one who said it. He threw out this dumb idea. This is bad. This is really bad. Yeah. JH, it's getting dark here. Says the only thing red in October in Philly is going to be the jerseys of the Devils, the Senators, and the Canes. By God, JH. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're saying? It's bad. It's bad. This is not good. No one should feel good about it. All right, so things are going to hell in a handbasket for your team, your town, your Philadelphia Phillies. Okay. I was going to do a whole thing. Oh, here we go. We got it. Here's the clip. We're gonna throw to this one now. This is Sanfilippo today on Phightin Words. So again, just to recap for those who are just joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and X, the Phillies just put Trea Turner on the injured list. We knew that was happening. But they also put Alec Bohm on the injured list. That means two of the Phillies infielders are now going on the injured list. And the reason that it's happening isn't because these guys just got hurt. Oh, boo-hoo, these guys got hurt. No. It's Anthony Sanfilippo's fault. Because here's Anthony, well, this is Bob, but here's Anthony Sanfilippo on Phightin Words a few hours ago here on the Joy Media Network. All right, go ahead, Anthony. Take it away.
That being said, like, don't lose 3 out of 4, which is my big thing. Like, I'm not saying you have to sweep them and make a statement.
Right, and I'm with you, Bob. Don't lose 3 out of 4, but it doesn't matter. I don't care who the opponent would have been this week. Like it could have been the Giants. Don't lose 3 out of 4 because you don't want the Dodgers to catch you. It could have been the Pirates. Don't lose 3 out of 4. You don't want the Dodgers to catch. It doesn't matter. The opponent. The Mets aren't catching the Phillies. Phillies are not blowing a 7-game lead here. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Cut and dry.
That's the freezing hot takes tweet. You're now on the hook.
I'm on the hook. And if all
right, let's go back here.
The opponent. The Mets aren't catching the Phillies. Phillies are not blowing a 7-game lead here. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Cut and dry.
That's the freezing hot takes tweet. You're now on the hook.
I'm on the hook. And if I'm wrong at the end, then guess what? Then this team doesn't deserve anything.
Sanfilippo's fault. I want everybody to remember it's Sanfilippo's fault. Bad, very bad. Now, let's talk about what it could mean, right? Because we already knew that they were going to be without Turner. Now they are without Bohm. And I think it does probably increase the likelihood of them expediting somebody to the major leagues that they didn't intend to. And that's where I defer to Jim Salisbury, who's long been a plugged-in insider at NBC Sports Philly. I think he's at PHLY now, I think. But he's got a show, The Phillies Show, with Zalecki and Ruben Amaro. And Salisbury had some interesting things to say about a guy who just got called up to AAA, Aiden Miller. Now, I'm not throwing out this idea here that it is cut and dry. Aiden Miller is going to be a call-up now, that they're going to bring him up to the major league level. Or that the idea is going to be get Aiden Miller 2 weeks in AAA and then bring him up before the postseason. Like, I don't know what the hell they're going to do, okay? Like, this isn't good. We all know it's not good. But I do want to go out to Salisbury because if there's somebody who would have an idea, if there's somebody who talks to enough people within that organization to give you some semblance of an idea of what the internal thoughts are within the team, it probably would be Jim Salisbury. So I want to go out to Salisbury. Could it be Aiden Miller time? Let's go over to the Phillies Show, most notably Jim Salisbury. Go ahead, Jim.
What a second half he had at Reading, AA Reading, and he's still one of the youngest players in that league, like 2 years younger than the average age. And I love that every year he gets stronger as the season goes on. As a 21-year-old in AA, he's played good shortstop. He's over 800 OPS, and he's stolen 53 bases. 53 bases. Just earned a promotion to AAA. He's going to finish out in AAA. And I just think he's had a hell of a season. And hell of a 2 seasons here for the Phillies, and all of a sudden now with him and Crawford, it's hard to get your own position players to the big leagues. And they got 2 guys who are going to be knocking on the door here in a real hurry next year in Aiden Miller and Crawford. So he'd be my Manco best of the week. He's having a great finish up there, and he's going to finish in Lehigh.
Which poses the question.
Here you go.
Does he come to the big league now that the other guy's down? So I don't.
Let's see. Now this is where it gets spicy because you get Salisbury giving you like a fair take on where exactly Miller belongs, how he's played, all that. But Ruben has to throw out this idea of does he come all the way up?
You brought that up. I do not know. I know it's a question that people are going to have. I've gotten it on social media. He has been spectacular. I know Larry Bow believes him in as a shortstop. He's developed in leaps and bounds. He's a really young player, but he's playing his best baseball right now. Do you bring this guy to the big leagues and make him the everyday shortstop with the protection of having Emilio Sosa there? Or do you just chill and you bring up Otto Kemp, or you bring up a speed guy in Johan Rojas? I'm not sure.
Okay. To quote that old meme of that little girl, ¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? Well, now that you have Bohm going out, there is probably a path. There's probably a way to make the case. Okay, maybe you have to go to Aiden Miller. Sosa's going to play one of the infield spots. Have Aiden Miller come up and play short. Why not? I'm sure somebody can give me 7 other names that make sense. Oh, that's right. There aren't. Your options are limited. Your roster is limited. Your roster is locked. Aiden Miller might have to come up. Is it going to work well for them? Probably not. Who knows, though? Here's the beauty of it. The expectations are very low. If there is ever a time to bring up Aiden Miller, it could be now, right? The Phillies are far enough ahead of the Mets that they have a cushion, and if Aiden Miller falls on his face, it isn't going to make a material difference, right? There are guys in this lineup who just need to perform. Harper, Real Muto, Schwarber, those three alone should be able to produce enough to keep you in a lot of games. If you can get good productive at-bats out of Kepler, out of Marsh, out of Stott, added bonus. If and when Castellanos is in the lineup, get something productive out of him. Great. Awesome. Edmundo Sosa, perfectly fine hitter. Cool. Aiden Miller won't be the reason. If the Phillies blow the NL East lead, right? If they somehow collapse like the Mets did over a decade ago, it's not going to be because Aiden Miller couldn't hit at the big league level. That's not going to be it at all. So in a way, you could bring Aiden Miller up, have him bat ninth, or have him bat eighth, depending on your philosophy about turning over the lineup. Have him bat at the bottom of the order. No pressure on him whatsoever. Have him go out, field the position. There are worse ideas. And by the way, if he comes up and he plays well, even if he hits like 200, but he gets a couple of good at-bats in, he gets a couple of extra base hits, he looks relatively competent and he plays well in the field, that's a hell of a boost to his morale. It's a hell of a boost to his confidence as a player. And it also maybe makes him even more marketable on the trade market if you decide in the offseason, yeah, you know what, we're going to go all in on this window now. We haven't done it to this point, but we're going to go all in on this window for 2026 and 2027. And maybe getting some good major league film on Aiden Miller can help in trade negotiations. I'm not saying that should be part of the calculus here, but it could be a beneficial side effect of all of this. Okay. So not great. It's going to be really, really hard for us to kind of feel good about it because this is not great. So let's see if we could rebound. Let's go to one of the worst things that we've seen in Philadelphia sports in recent memory, something we're not going to spend 25 minutes on, but we will discuss it at least very briefly. There was the moment that we all saw in Miami where Phillies Karen went over, chased down a guy who gave a baseball. It was a Harrison Bader home run. A guy ran over. The ball appeared to be up for grabs on the ground. He picked up the baseball. He took it back to his seat. He gave it to his son. His son looks like, 13, 12, maybe 10. Kind of looks like my oldest kid's age. So let's say we're in like the 10 to 12 range. I don't know how old the kid is. But this lady, who's been dubbed Phillies Karen, kind of charges over looking for the manager. She talks to the dad. She doesn't seem to care. Doesn't seem like she wants to listen to reason. It happened to be the kid's birthday. And so we've all seen the video of her roaming the stands. But I want to show you the view from behind. I want to show you what it looked like for people who were in that section when Phillies Karen decided to go after this dad. Let's go over to this real quick. Here we go. Here's Phillies Karen. Look out. She looks so happy. Oh, she says, no, you took it from me. Now, if you go back and watch the video, Phillies Karen didn't have the ball in her hands. She did not have the ball in her hands. They were all kind of going for it in a little scrum on the ground, but I have not seen conclusive video proof that she completed the catch. It's in my hands. Now, this is the part that I love the most. You got two Phillies fans down here. Also, strong fanny pack game on this lady. This is great. Love a good fanny pack. They turn around and boo her. There's a video, by the way, from like much higher up where the whole section's like booing her. There's a part where like there are some guys who are up behind the seats. They're losing their shit about it. Here's the scrap, because this is where I think the video proof matters. Okay. We did the full breakdown last week about the Jalen Carter spit at Dak Prescott and how Dak spit at the ground in front of Jalen Carter first and then did the head back and the aha. So let's really quick, let's analyze the footage. Here's the home run coming in from Harrison Bader, and let's see if anybody actually gets full and indisputable possession of the ball. Let's check it out. There's the ball. Ball lands. Nobody has ball. Appears we have a scrum. There's the dad right there. There he is. You can see him in his red shirt. He comes over. Now, you can hear in the background, if I back this out, you can hear something. I'll try to turn up the volume on it here. Let's just see. Now, if you hear that and you're like, that is not a seagull. Don't worry. Despite the fact that they're down in Florida, there was not a seagull. There was not a rogue seagull loose at the Marlins Park. That you can hear in the background. That was actually Phillies Karen. You can hear her. Hear it one more time. And look, there she is. Now, I have a question about like the dad here. This is just like a general thing. He kind of does this like squeamish thing. People thought he was like coming up like fisticuffs, like the Notre Dame mascot. This to me is more like, whoa, what are we doing here? Now, the kid is between them. This lady's got to back off. The body language here isn't great. She's pointing back. I don't know what we're doing here. All right, let's keep going. Hey, get out of there! And now you start getting the people from a few rows up starting to chime in. Hear it! Hear it! Oh, the guy doing this video, he called her Karen first. Okay. You take it from me! Okay, so Phillies Karen pisses everybody off. It makes the telecast, the Marlins people, they're incensed. They bring up the fact that like it seems kind of nonsensical for this lady to go back and take a ball from a kid, right? And then that leads us to this because the Marlins did a good thing the Marlins did a good thing while the game was going on. And this is actually how we learned that it's the kid's birthday. So here's the Marlins. Like, Marlins sent a person out. She seems nice. She has a whole goodie bag for this kid. And then they explain that it's the kid's birthday, which is really sweet. So this whole section, right? They don't like Phillies Karen. Everybody is united against Phillies Karen. So this nice lady from the Marlins, she comes over. You say, wow, what a cool moment. What a nice thing. How could it get any better for the birthday boy? Could it possibly get any better for the birthday boy? It did, because by the time the game was over, Harrison Bader found out. And Harrison Bader, who hit that home run, that led to Phillies Karen being a nasty, nasty person. Harrison Bader met this kid and his family after the game. And that's really cool. Just on a human level, it's a cool thing to do. As a sports fan, it's a cool thing to see. If you're looking for a reason to cheer for a guy like Harrison Bader, who was brought in here, the trade deadline has, I think, outperformed a lot of what many of us thought he was going to. Seems like a good dude, good energy guy, good clubhouse guy. Signs a bat. Really cool stuff. Like, that was neat. Really, really neat. Now, I've seen in the last few days, there have been people kind of trying to speculate where this lady works. Does she work at a school in New Jersey? Does she work at a school in Pennsylvania? There was apparently a New Jersey high school that put out that she does not work for their school. This person was misidentified. They don't work there, but if they had, she would have made the catch, which is kind of funny. Let's just be clear about one thing. Phillies Karen sucks, okay? We can at least agree that the actions of Phillies Karen suck. She made a bad choice. She got very worked up about a ball. And from what I've been able to gather, she didn't have a little kid with her. It's not like this dad went to go get a ball for his 10 to 12-year-old or however old that kid was, and like take it back to a 6-year-old little girl or something who was trying to get the ball, and this like guy came over and ripped the ball out of a 6-year-old girl's hand, right? It doesn't seem like that was the case. But she did go after this guy who gave the ball to his kid, to his son. So bad etiquette as a fan, if you are Phillies Karen. But at the same time, what are we doing here? I saw people trying to dox this lady. We're trying to identify Phillies Karen, trying to get her fired from her job. That's ridiculous. That's too far. And that's all I have to say about Phillies Karen. It just, I don't know what we're doing, guys. I don't know. I saw a lot of people over in the comments. JH goes, why should she know how to talk to a kid? Kids are never managers. Tony Louie claims that this lady was on a school board and she got fired. I don't believe that. That's not a fireable offense. It would make no sense. Let's see. Jacob over on YouTube says she also yelled at another person, came over to other fans and flipped everyone off. Well, at least she's a Phillies fan. She does seem like she's kind of carrying through on being the Phillies fan thing, though, right? Like she's keeping the attitude up. You got to give her a little bit of credit there, right? I am going to show you something that Amadeo kind of threw out there in the comments. And this is maybe the only reason that AI was created. But if you were thinking to yourself, man, this lady's like really obsessed with this one object, this one small object. She really wants to possess this one object. It seems very precious to her. You'll see. Here's Phillies Karen. Uh-oh.
My precious says, stupid child tried to take the bases balls. No baseball for you. This is my baseball. This is Schmeagol love Master. Master betrayed Schmeagol. Master betrayed the baseball. Harrison Peter betrayed baseball. Father steal a ball for his little child. No, not good for the little child. This is Phillies Karen baseball. Good bases balls. I take the baseball. It's my precious.
Okay, we're just gonna move on. Just keep it going. Okay, so that's yeah. All right. Thanks, JH. Calls us the best unhinged Philly sports show. Might be the only unhinged one, but I'll take it. We'll take the compliment while we can. All right, so we're done with Phillies Karen. Again, don't dox Phillies Karen. Seems ridiculous. We'll find out. We have something else I need to get to. We have a couple of Eagles things I want to get to. I've actually been waiting to see if we would get an update on what's going on with Jalen Carter, because the belief was that we would have an update on Jalen Carter at this point. And it doesn't seem like there's been a disciplinary action provided yet. So actually, really quick, let's go out to Adam Schefter. He was on Pat McAfee's show this afternoon. He had a really quick thing to say. And there was a really weird thing that happened in one of the college football games over the weekend where a player spit on another player. And there was a reporter, and I think it was for Fox Sports. I don't remember. And this reporter was like, well, it might not be fair, but the NFL could hold that spitting incident against Jalen Carter because, was it a copycat? Like, as if we're talking about, what are we doing here? Anyway, let's go out to Schefter really quick. This is Schefter this afternoon talking about Jalen Carter and what could happen to him in terms of a suspension, a fine, or whatever.
We'll probably hear something from the NFL today regarding Jalen Carter and his spitting incident with Dak Prescott. We'll see whether the league decides to take additional action.
I don't know why they would. He effectively was suspended for a full game. Remember, when the spit happened, not a single snap of football had been played. The kickoff happened. An Eagle was down injured, which is what led to the time in between where Dak Prescott spit in Jalen Carter's general direction, smiled, and then went, aha! And then went out after the game and said,
I just thought he was saying, he asked if I spit on him, and I was saying, why would I spit on you? Why would I spit on you?
Yeah, he very clearly did not say that in the time that he went from spitting to then, aha! So, okay, let's keep going.
Usually in the past, they have not. They've left a one-game suspension stand in this particular case.
And this was like a one-game suspension.
I think back to what Troy Vincent, the NFL executive vice president, told NFL executives and GMs and coaches at the owners' meetings.
This seems to be the big point of contention in the league. And this is maybe why a suspension will at least be issued. It'll be appealed, but this could be why.
In the spring, he said, we are not going to tolerate anything that demeans the game. We want only good sportsmanship, and there'll be zero tolerance involved. We'll see how the league decides to handle that.
So, I would say that in any other circumstance, Jalen Carter's not at risk of getting a suspension. But because you've now had multiple national media pundits throw this idea out about like Troy Vincent, Players Association, you've had people at the league talking about this around owners' meetings and everything, and they give the edicts about these are the things that we're looking for. Remember the taunting penalty on Nolan Smith. He walks over to the player, he flexes at him, and he does walk toward him while he's down on the ground. I don't necessarily think that is such an awful taunt. It's not like he F-bombed him out. He didn't throw a slur at the guy. He flexed at him and walked his way. I don't necessarily think that that's totally fair, but that's been a point of contention. It's been a point of emphasis for referees going into the season. Fine. Does the spitting thing, especially since we have the video that Dak Prescott spit toward Jalen Carter, not on him. It was at a distance, but he did spit at him, did the head thing back, the big smile. Like, he knew what he was doing. He was goading Jalen Carter into doing something stupid. And in reality, Jalen Carter did a stupid thing. I don't know. Maybe by the end of the show, we'll find out. By the time the show hits the podcast feed, we might actually have some confirmation on what's going on. While we're on the Sixers, or not the Sixers, while we're on the Eagles, may as well be on the Sixers because it was negative news. If you remember, when the Eagles won on Thursday night, Jalen Hurts had a game where he went 19 of 23. We talked about this on the show on Friday. Jalen Hurts had 3 balls that he threw away, and he had 1 ball that was dropped by Saquon Barkley. And other than that, he was 19 of 19. Now, I get it. Passing stats are passing stats. If you don't complete the ball, if a completion is not made, it does count as an incomplete pass. But realistically, you had a drop and 3 throwaways. Otherwise, Jalen Hurts is 19 of 19 on Thursday Night Football. And one of the people who often gets looked at as being, like the savior to the position, a guy who oftentimes you would swear is like the Messiah returned to earth, Joe Burrow, he went out and he didn't exactly have an awe-inspiring game for the Cincinnati Bengals against the Cleveland Browns. And really quick, I think that sometimes you have to kind of take a holistic view on things. Here's Jalen Hurts' pass chart from NFL Next Gen Stats and his overall stats. Okay, I'm going to take the comments down here for a second. We'll put them back up in a sec. So Jalen Hurts goes 19 of 23. Remember, 1 drop, 3 throwaways. 152 yards. You can see he had the 1 40-yard pass to Jahan Dotson. Otherwise, it was a lot of checkdowns. It was a lot of 10 or fewer yard completions. Nobody's going to try to sell you on the idea that Jalen Hurts had a game where he was, slinging the pigskin all the way around. It was, some masterclass of big plays. It was not. But then I want you to take a look at the guy that people like to talk about as if he is the second coming of Christ, but as a quarterback. And that, of course, is Joe Burrow. Here's Joe Burrow against the Cleveland Browns. Granted, the Browns have Myles Garrett. Very good pass rusher. 14 of 23, 113 yards, which last I checked is fewer than 152 that Jalen Hurts had. We're not even taking into account the multiple rushing touchdowns and the first downs that were picked up with the legs by Jalen Hurts. So, okay, fewer yards, fewer completions. He did have a passing touchdown. He did. He got Jalen Hurts there. He had a passing touchdown. Look at the passes. Where's the big play? Where's the 50-plus yard play? Where's the 40-plus yard play? You can see over here on Next Gen Stats, you can see right here, there was an attempt along the right sideline, about 36-yard attempt. You had one over here that was about 28 yards on the left side. You had a few passes that went past the 10-yard line, but his longest completion, if my eyes aren't deceiving me, was about 13 yards. And again, Joe Burrow, widely believed to be a top 3 quarterback in this league. People like to put him up there as if he's accomplished something in life. Jalen Hurts, who's a Super Bowl MVP, has outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls, guy who just figures out ways to win, is 15-0 in his last 15 games where he has started and finished the same game. We're taking out that one game against the Commanders where he got knocked out very early at the end of regular season last year. Guy who's gone 15-0 in his last 15 games that he started and finished. Pretty big deal. And if you want to include that Commanders game, 15-1. But he was out of the game with a concussion, and the Eagles ultimately lost that because their defense fell apart late in that game. Okay. Winners win. Winners win. Just saying, winners win. All right, last thing that I wanted to get to. I had some Dexter Resurrection thoughts. We'll get there in like a minute. And I'm not going deep, and we're not doing spoilers. This is the thing that made my heart a little bit happy. So you might have seen last week that Ryan Clark went on to First Take, and Ryan Clark did this whole like setup where he said, I probably shouldn't say this, blah, 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 blah. He kind of prefaced some things. And then he said to Peter Schrager on the set of, it was Get Up, not First Take. On Get Up, he says to Peter Schrager, that's the non-player in you talking. And he's like, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful. So Ryan Clark says this. Schrager kind of fires back with hey man, like don't belittle me like that. Like, I do a lot of, and like Schrager's a very well-respected guy. And so like, this is like the worst case scenario for Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark's already kind of on tenuous ground with a lot of viewers. Schrager, mostly thought of in a very positive light, especially from his time on Good Morning Football. And you have this play out on camera. And then you have Kyle Brandt on Sunday gives a shout out to all the non-players on panels, on their panel and panels elsewhere as well. Then you get Dave Portnoy on Wake Up Barstool on FS1. And you remember when we were talking about what FS1 was going to do, they were going to have to run counter-programming to get up. I said the best thing they can do is kind of lob grenades, right? Fire some shots across the bow of ESPN, make them uncomfortable. This, whether you like Dave Portnoy or not, this is brilliant. This video, and I'll show you a little bit of, this is exactly what Barstool and Fox Sports need to do together. They called Ryan Clark out on the carpet. Here's Portnoy.
Bother me. But in this instance, we're watching the games on TV. We kind of know football, we see the same thing. So I'm not one of those guys that thinks that you guys are lower than me because I played and you didn't.
Jason Williams, white chocolate, great point guard. At least like a guy whose game translates very well to playing some street ball, like Jason Williams. Let's go to Portnoy.
Always, and I was going to ask the Gruden and Olsen that question. That, of course, is a big debate. Ryan Clark went after Peter Schrager from NFL.
Which was stupid.
Network. They got in debate about a game. And Ryan Clark, who's one of the all-time jerks in the history of mankind.
Whoa! All right, so there's your first shot. So, again, same hours, right? Get up and wake up. Going head-to-head. There's your first Portnoy shot that I can remember, at least, or that I remember seeing. First shot across the bow at Get Up, okay?
He is a race baiter. You can say that. I don't know if we can.
You might agree with that. You might not agree with that, but okay, he throws that one out there. That's certainly going to get a lot of headlines.
And that's the only time he's in the news is when he's picking fights and then apologizing. But he yelled at Peter Schrager, basically saying,
I don't think I'd say he yelled at him, but he certainly demeaned, belittled Peter Schrager.
Hey, shut up. You didn't play football. You
didn't say shut up.
You can't talk. I've never understood that. Like, I get playing the game, but there's a lot of morons who play the game. There's a lot of bad GMs.
That is correct.
Who played football. There's a lot of bad coaches who played football.
Also
watching
correct.
Football, being around football, being around sports. So I appreciate you, Jay Will, saying you didn't have to play the game. Certainly not to have an opinion.
Right.
Yeah. And so that is exactly the kind of thing that Barstool show is going to have to do on FS1. Take shots at ESPN. Take shots at the hot takes. Take shots at some of the hosts, at some of the personalities. And when they do something stupid, burn them for it. What have we talked about on this show locally with the Philly sports stations? We've said 97.5 should take shots at WIP. They should have been loading up shots about the DeCamera versus Fritz athletic display over the summer. And they really didn't. You had Bill Colarulo a few weeks ago do the make the switch. You had Bill Colarulo kind of passively going after WIP. Got to take shots. Challenge your brand. Take the shots. Remember, Josh Ennis, when he found success in Philly, he went after Missinelli by name, went after the Fanatic by name. The difference here, of course, is that Portnoy and Barstool have a gigantic platform outside of Fox Sports. So they're in a very interesting position to be able to do it, but they're doing exactly what they should. All right, last thing that I wanted to get to. And it's really not, we're not going to talk a lot about it. It's just really quick. If you are a Dexter fan and you haven't watched Dexter Resurrection yet, the time is now. The show had its finale last Friday on Paramount, and it was fantastic. That season as a whole was fantastic. When they did the initial sequel, New Blood, mixed results, the finale was bad, which is just like how the regular show, the finale, was horrible. Then they did the prequel, Original Sin, which I had no expectations for, and I ultimately did enjoy. And I kind of hope they do a second season of it, even though it sounds like they either tabled that or they might have canceled season 2. And now you have the sequel to the sequel. You have Resurrection. And again, I'm not going into spoiler territory. The cast is fantastic. There are plenty of things that would give you the indication that that show is over after one season. And boy, there are certainly a number of things that make you think, oh, that could be another season or two of Dexter Resurrection. If you haven't watched it yet, you should. And maybe by Friday's show, maybe we'll go like a full week from the episode debuting on streaming service on Paramount Plus. Then we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll do a separate video to break down some of the theories, because there are some very interesting ones. But if you haven't watched it yet, now is the time. Now, I saw there was like another little bit of news and notes, and I haven't seen this news. Oh, okay, here it is. Jordan Hall put out that Jet Lachenko, who's dealing with a groin injury this summer, he missed dev camp. We know that. It sounds like he's going to be good for rookie camp. So I saw this, Tony Louis saying no mention about Lachenko missing camp with a groin injury. He missed dev camp. I have not yet seen anything about him missing training camp. I think he is good. And according to Jordan Hall, who would have a pretty good idea, he's down covering the team every day, I tend to think that he's right. All right, now, that's it for today for the Russ Joy Show. I'll be back on Wednesday. Do me a favor if you haven't done so already. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the Russ Joy Show on YouTube. You can also find the show on your favorite podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. I'll be back on Wednesday. Maybe it'll be a Wednesday will we have a guest? Perhaps. We'll find out. You have to come back to find out. Until then, this has been the Russ Joy Show, and I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart, and it's also the name of the show. Talk to all of you on Wednesday here on the Russ Joy Show.